180.
Right, that was-
So,
You'd be surprised how long those.
so big picture, I guess, so do you, for that one especially, do you recommend that we get an outside entity in here to really scrounge around there and tell us what we need?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Before we, and then we'll release an RFP to that.
Yep, yep,
Just understanding that the company you have come inspect then
Okay.
can't bid to the RFP.
okay, yep.
But no, 2006, that's, I mean, those are 11 years old, that's not a lot. But
No, no, it's not.
That's not good.
No, it's been 12 seasons that they've been running. But the boilers we have now are residential quality boilers.
So I also heard that.
They're small residential boilers and being used in a commercial application. They're not gonna last 25 years like they would in a home.
Yeah.
Who did
Because they run a
that?
lot.
Who did
Back
that?
then, Kevin Gauthier put those in,
Uh-huh.
back in 2006. But at the time, we
That
had,
may be the norm, that might have been the norm back then.
well, it was a big money saver at the time.
And so here we are 10 years later,
Exactly.
regretting that.
Yep.
So-
Right.
I think they were $35,000 when we replaced them back
so,
then.
So I mean, if the board agrees, I think the best thing to do is to let's get somebody to go in there and give us a good idea of, we don't need the Cadillac.
Yep.
But what's gonna, what's gonna last the district 20 years.
Yep.
And not have to worry about
If
that.
you're having a problem,
Well, my opinion is, for something that is this big of a project, I think you need to look at alternatives.
Well,
So
that's-
you're not just looking at a boiler, you might, we had people at one point looking at the outside heating system. They
Yeah, we
brought
have wood
that-
chip.
Well, the pellets.
Yeah, the
Pellet,
pellets.
yeah, wood chip.
So I think this is the time to say, let's explore what's best for
Right.
the future, for now, not just like, okay, let's just replace these.
And-
We need like
Yeah,
a
I
committee,
didn't say that.
a
The first thing we
group.
need to know is,
Yeah,
how we doing?
yeah.
Because if he says, yeah, you got a year out of it solid, then
Mm-hmm.
okay, we can talk about this next summer.
Yep,
If he says, ugh, you
Yeah.
aren't making it to March,
yep.
well, I would rather schedule, okay, let's fix it somewhere between Christmas break, February, whatever,
Mhm.
because I'm assuming we shut the school down a little bit for it,
Yep,
as opposed to having you come in someday and you're calling these guys at 4 in the morning saying, yeah, we can't have school for like 2 weeks.
yeah, that wouldn't be good.
Because we gotta get together and execute funds.
Right,
why instead of having just one person come in and checking it out, why don't we have anybody that's interested in quoting it, have them all come in and get all their separate inputs?
Because you
and-
get into contractual obligation. You gotta be very careful of that. So anybody who looks at it, and then if we release an RFP, anybody who provided information for that, it really restricts our bidding.
I'm just concerned that you're not gonna get a lot of people,
Well, I don't know.
answering.
Like I said, the first thing I'd like to have is an expert come in and tell
Mhm.
us,
Mhm.
yeah, you're,
TMM Mechanical is the company we're using now, and they're pretty good. They only do commercial work, they don't do residential.
again, as long as they understand that if we put an RFP out following it,
They can't bid.
they can't bid.
Yeah,
That's not good.
yeah, no, that's not good.
So you had someone come in, who was the person that came in to look at it?
Todd Lowell is his name, it's TML Mechanical. He's the one that replaced the hot water coils this summer.
Coils that were replaced this summer.
Oh, that's
Okay,
what it is.
and his opinion was this wasn't an immediate issue?
No, his opinion was they're on their last leg and you better start thinking about replacing them.
So last leg not lasting this winter, or what?
He thinks we'll get through this winter,
He
but,
thinks?
yeah.
Okay.
The good part of it, if there is a good part of it, we have there are 4 boilers, they're small residential boilers. So if one of them, they're not all 4 gonna die at the same
Right.
time. So if one of them did, we could get away with 3 of them through the winter. If 2 of them did, we might be in trouble if we had a real cold snap.
Okay.
But that's the good news of having that many.
Gary, if they're replacing the whole thing, what kind of time frame are we looking at for them to get in, rip them out, do the whole thing? Are we talking days or weeks, or what are they looking at?
Probably a couple of weeks, I would say. Because if we were gonna do that, we'd want to replace the hot water system along with it. Because these boilers have hot water coils in them, so they generate the hot water for us. So we'd have to do a lot of mechanical changes in their pumps and that kind of thing.
That's old
The
technology.
reason
Yeah.
I ask that
Yeah.
is that if it's gonna take a couple of weeks to do it, we may be better getting the information that Brian's looking for, and then bringing this, if we can limp through the season, bringing it up again for unexpended funds at the end of the year, see where we're at. We have the capital reserve, and then we can get that window starting the project in mid-June, when we can literally shut the heat down.
Yeah. if we
Right,
tag 'em-
that would be ideal.
But if this is
Yeah.
a switch from oil to propane, we have an oil contract. And if we go to propane, those tanks have to be emptied and removed. That's
Yeah.
expensive.
Yeah, but that tank's, that's another part of it, that oil tank is getting old. And it's, we put a lot of money into that tank every year, it has to be inspected twice a year. I have to take a class every 2 years, that the state puts on, because of that underground oil tank. And when you have propane tanks, the propane companies own the propane tanks. They're responsible for the tanks. They dig the hole, they put them in there, they own the tanks, and if there's any issues, they deal with them. The oil, we own it, and we deal with it.
You might be able to empty it, but you don't necessarily have to remove it right away.
Yeah, there's,
You know, you've got,
yep,
as long as it's not leaking, you're
right, right,
okay for a while.
yep.
So
Yeah.
again, I
Down the
think,
road.
I'd like the board to have a warm fuzzy that it's not an emergency, and then we can
Yep.
explore a lot of different avenues.
Right. We need a committee.
That's why I brought it up now, because,
Nope.
I wanted to give us some
it's a
time.
good call. And I'll leave it up to you to figure out who you want to come in.
mhm,
Again, if it's the guy that you think would actually place a bid, again, maybe you gotta call out of region, say, we need you to come in,
Yep.
we'll pay you to come give us an estimate. Because the way I understand the contracting world is if they come and provide us all that information,
then they
we
can't,
put an RFP out for it, they
Then-
can't turn around because they have insider information.
I didn't know that,
Should we limit
Yep.
oil deliveries?
not yet.
Not
No,
yet,
no.
okay.
No,
Okay.
no, I'm pretty sure that we're gonna be fine through this winter.
Okay.
But I just didn't wanna go any further than that without spending some time and,
Yeah, so so the second one, I was surprised, I saw, on Facebook chat of the committee, there were people that thought that there was a generator in this building. No, there's not.
well, no, we've
It's
never
in
had
the
one.
town hall, right?
We've never had a generator.
Okay, years ago,
Yeah.
there was a civil defense generator that was given to the school. It was in one of these boiler rooms down here. When an addition was put on, the generator mysteriously disappeared.
Oh,
So there is no generator, despite what is going all over
Right.
Facebook.
So that's what people remember, a diesel generator. So they kept referring to it as a diesel generator.
It was a diesel generator,
oh,
but it wasn't here for that long. It was a civil defense generator that was given to the school.
Thank you, Carol. See, this is the kind of information that we're gonna need.
yeah, I've never even heard that.
My husband
Just a phone call away.
knew it was here.
Oh,
Okay, so we don't have any kind of backup for the
no,
cafeteria stuff.
no,
Um,
no, we don't have anything.
Now,
Did-
because we're designated as a
Emergency shelter.
emergency shelter, that would give the refrigeration, and is that gonna heat the entire building?
Yes.
So that if there was a need that people, okay.
So
Yep,
it's pretty much, it looks like it's heat and then,
It's, but it's not water
That's
and
fine,
it's not
that's
lights.
fine.
right, it's heat, the boiler room, and the freezer and refrigerator.
Right,
So it maintains the building, so we don't have pipes bursting and blowing out
Right.
libraries.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
I think that should be warrant
Will it pump
article.
water? Will we
No,
have,
no.
Well, remember.
well,
we
if we're
have
an
all kinds
emergency
of-
shelter,
we have different ways to do it.
we should
Right.
have water available.
Yeah, and if we did that, we could do that, we'd have to have a bigger generator
Well,
to do that.
then, I think you need a big generator.
We'd have to figure out where to put it,
Yep,
because we do have shower facilities and bathrooms and things like that. People have to stay in the gym.
we don't have showers here.
No, they're all blocked up for storage.
Yep,
So,
yep,
yeah, but do they actually work and they're just blocked up, or they just don't even work?
they're gone.
Oh.
Yep, they were gone before I was here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, as Deb said, maybe this is something we put together for one
Yeah,
article.
warrant article.
We
Yep.
can think about that. So we need
Yep.
to get, can you do some more information on what it would take to bring it up to, so we can actually have people stay here?
Sure,
Get a quote, and we can talk to the, we can talk to the town.
Yep. no,
Was last year that there was some type of grant for a
Well,
generator?
Chief Richards was doing something for a
He
while,
worked on that
Yeah.
for 2
and
years.
it kind of fizzled. I don't know if the money went away or something fizzled out on it.
I think the school was going for it,
Yeah.
but the town wouldn't go for their quarter. They wouldn't put it on
Maybe
there.
we should reach out to him again to find out if there's still money available.
from what I understand, Mike Richards was looking into an all-school generator, a generator that would run the entire school, so they
Right.
could
Right.
actually have school, but that's $250,000 or
Right,
something
that was
like that.
something huge that was out
Yep.
here on a pad, one of the pads.
Yep.
But it was a
Yep.
grant.
Partial
Right,
grant.
partial.
Partial
It was
grant.
half.
So that sounds like something we should find out about.
the building committee discussion.
Well, who was the contact with
I know-
Chief
I know
Richards
Mike.
about that? Was anybody on the committee, were you working with him
I
on that?
didn't work with him on it, but I do remember him doing a lot of legwork.
Okay. Did you work with him on it?
No.
Yeah. Do you wanna ask him if that's still
Reach out to him.
available? Okay.
So what I was trying to do is get a smaller generator just to keep the building
Right.
intact
Essential function.
No.
and without spending too much money. Back, when I first started here and Dick Dennis was here, we looked into a generator and it was the same thing. It was, you know, $300,000, and we just never followed through with it. So I thought if we went with a $20,000 generator that would
Yeah.
maintain the building for us with an outage, that would be more feasible.
I thought there's a grant available to help.
Yeah, just, if you wouldn't mind, Gary, just keep kind of digging and seeing what we can find out.
Sure.
We'll chase down Chief Richards and see if there was
No, 'cause they're not interested.
a way. I mean, it seemed like there was a lot of interest with well, some people had a lot of interest, some people thought it was
Yeah,
ridiculous.
I saw some of that.
Yeah, but again,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
nice to at least have the answer. I mean, what the voters vote for, fine, but it's nice to
Yeah.
have the right answer.
Yeah. Now, my other understanding was that the town hall was a shelter.
Yes.
And they,
Not that I know of.
Was it?
I don't think so.
I know the school is designated, but
The
I
school
know the
is
town, I know the town hall has a generator.
They do have a generator.
Yeah,
That's why.
they were up and running. They didn't have internet connection, but they were up and running.
right, right.
And they have that thermal heating, so I don't
Yep.
think the power bothers that unless
Yep.
it's the heat pump that pulls it up, so. No, it's something to
But
look
but if they have a generator, it would run that heat pump and
at. Yeah,
keep them going. Yep,
but we just gotta get smarter at that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Recommendation number 3, I'm like, yeah, the town can take care of roads and ditches. So the Stratford Police Department recommended we have the ditches fixed because one of their cruisers ended up in it. Huh,
Well, they should talk to the selectmen.
yeah, right, I mean, that ditch is a water drainage. I'm sure we would upset somebody if we started filling with gravel. So-
Can you fill
Is
it?
that- That's a state road.
That's
It's
a,
it's
isn't
a
that
state
the
highway,
state property?
right, so we'd have to, I
Why would we be maintaining the state road?
don't know.
See, that, we've been going through that for years too,
Yeah.
depending on how far it is from the center line of the road. I was told the school owns it and we're responsible for it,
By
but,
who?
that was years ago, I'm not sure.
All right, we'll ask them the same question we talk about the dam.
Yeah. But this proposal, Greg Messenger gave us a price on it, gave the police department a price, the $22,000, but that would be putting a culvert. I have it here, I think it's a 18-inch culvert would go through that.
So we have to dig up both ends of our driveway.
For drainage.
To put it through there.
Yep.
Because we don't have a culvert there now, correct?
We do, yeah, yeah, but
Oh,
I
you
think
want
they'd have
to
to
make it
upgrade it, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I have that
But that
proposal
culvert's
here.
gonna go the
Oh,
whole
we
length,
need a
correct?
generator.
Okay.
That culvert will go the whole length of that piece up
Yep,
front.
there are actually two pieces, the front of the school and then over to the right of the school,
Right.
closer to the police station. There's
And then
another section.
the air conditioning for the computer lab, that didn't get air conditioning?
Well,
It
That-
has the,
it has a DX coils like the rest of the classrooms do, but it's just not adequate with all the computers running in there. It's really warm on the warmer weather,
yeah, which is bad for computers.
yeah. Yeah,
We talked about this, I thought it was just the DX coils that we had this last year? I remember.
yep,
this
no,
was-
they've been in there since 2011.
Okay, then,
That was part of the overall
but
project.
this was
Yeah.
brought up to us about, I thought we talked about this last year.
The only air conditioning I know of was we did the front of the
Front
building.
of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
The IT closet.
And,
Yeah, we did the
Oh,
closet.
it was the IT
too.
closet. It was the
Closet,
IT
we did the
Right,
closet with the
right,
servers,
right.
that's what we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
the unit we put in the front office is working great, and what this proposal would be is the same idea as that. It's-
Okay, things to think about.
That's good
Yeah.
for the end of the year.
okay. You're welcome.
Thanks, Gary.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't see any of these things in the current budget.
Well,
No.
stuff we gotta think about.
Hey, it's nice to meet you.
All right, you ready for 24?
Yeah, I'd be anxious to
Are we on
talk
23?
about that sign.
So have we ever had an electric
Okay.
study done?
Call me anytime.
Hey, Gary?
Look it up for yourself.
Okay,
Yes,
okay, perfect.
Gary, do you
Yep.
know, have we had an electric usage study done? I know-
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you remember we had the person come 2 years ago, we were trying to get grant money for something, and they came to see how we could save money,
Yep.
and they came and did like an audit.
Yeah, we did have a
energy
bill,
audit.
yeah, we did have an energy audit.
We had an energy
Complete,
audit done, and
yeah.
I think they looked to see,
I have that on file, I can pull that out.
Oh,
Yeah.
did they have recommendations for, I mean, do we need to change the thing, I mean, we got a pretty good electric bill. I mean, we're spending $61,000.
I know a lot of places are going to LED now. You know, LED light fixtures,
Yeah.
and would be a big savings.
Cost, well, what's the initial cost to
Yeah,
get there?
yeah, that's,
Yeah, I mean, if you have some info on some kind of an energy study, or if we need,
Yep.
I thought the power company's gonna do it for nothing.
yep,
If you ask them to come in and say, hey, scramble around.
There must be a grant for that.
Well,
Yep.
they'll come in, and I thought, if they give you a good study, then you can take a look and maybe chase grant.
Because that's what we were trying to do
Right.
with that energy audit,
Yep.
we were going after a grant.
Yeah,
yeah,
I remember, I thought it was part of the building in front. Okay.
But
Yeah,
don't
you
think
can
they
take
do
that
it
stuff
for
up.
free?
sure.
I think they come in and they assess it, and then like they take off so much per month, but you
Right.
basically end up paying the same for like 5 years or so.
Mhm.
And then after the 5 years, you start seeing savings,
Have we did that?
supposedly, but to me, I would think that technology would have changed within 5 years by the time you catch up with it.
Right.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Because I know I've looked into solar too for certain things, and to me, I'm like, okay, so if, say you went for solar for this building, to me, by the time you paid it off, something's gonna be updated and it's not gonna be as.
Yeah, I'm not so big of that, but even, as you said, light fixtures, do we have the switches in the right spot? Do we have, all that stuff?
Yep.
What do we run 24 hours a day?
Yep.
That
That
kind
might
of
be
thing.
good to call Eversource and ask if they've got any programs. We did this down in Nottingham 4 years ago, where they came in and basically ripped everything out.
When I
And then
first
the
started,
total
it was
cost of the
T12,
project,
with
with the
big
savings
old
from our
and
electric bill,
these
they were
T8s something
paying
like
for
this,
the
but
total
now
cost of
people
the
use
project.
T5s.
Oh, that's great.
But these are
So
smaller.
you paid for the
We had
project,
T5s
but it
put
was
in
over
Okay.
5 years,
So-
10 years, something like that.
Who did that? Who
I'm
contacted
trying to remember who
Eversource?
did that.
Marjorie, who would we
I
have?
think that would,
I think it was Eversource, I think.
maybe PSNH at the time.
Who would we
Yeah.
have contact Eversource? Who
But
would
it-
do
I
that?
think if Gary wants to
Head of
contact,
facilities would be the guy to
yeah,
start with.
contact Eversource and see if they have any kind of energy audit program with light fixtures and see if they
Yeah.
could do anything
Yeah.
like that.
And if there
I'll
is,
give them a call tomorrow.
yeah.
I think we did do it through PSNH before it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gary, if you could let me know if you do schedule an appointment, and I'll come out here just so.
Okay, yeah, that'd be great.
And I wonder if Eversource would also know about anything about an emergency shelter generator, if there's any type of grant money available. I know that they have someone that works with sort of helping people become more energy efficient, more independent.
Yeah.
They may be able to point us in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, we burn up a lot of electricity.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
That's what they late fees.
Just gonna be a great friend.
All right, okay. Thanks a lot.
24?
Thank you.
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you.
So the
24, obviously your rubbish removal is gonna be adjusted. We'll, as soon as we get that in place, we'll adjust that number.
The fuel oil line is still a little wacky.
Yeah.
$18,000 doesn't make any sense in my mind. The fuel oil, it says the 17-18 notes.
Right, because we don't have a bid yet.
Well, it says 3240 with additional buffer of 4760 for total of 18,000.
That's the fiscal year 17-18 notes. I left that there to update it when we got the updated note, so I don't have to go back in and remember what was typed in there.
So what's the 18,000?
That used to be. I don't know.
The total of 18,000 can come off.
That's what I don't really understand.
I don't know, that was weird. Might have been a typo.
It's not the propane, right?
Okay. I just saw that.
Other questions on 24?
Our recycling budget's going up 31%. Would it be cheaper to throw it away? No, one of the
Are
good
you
stewards,
related
but-
to my husband? Only person in the world who doesn't recycle.
It's costing me money.
But that's with that.
Okay.
Waste management one.
Wouldn't
that
it
was-
be cheaper to
That's what I
pay our
said.
custodian to go to the dump on Wednesdays
I don't know.
with the recycles? I mean,
I got no idea what it is. I just thought it was comical that it's more expensive to recycle.
it's nuts.
Page 25.
25, we've got the RFP out for transportation, so hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have the bid of that.
What do you think?
I've got my
That's
fingers
December?
crossed.
Is that December? Next meeting is December.
I
Yes.
believe the next meeting that you have scheduled right now is.
No, no, November 22nd.
Yeah.
We gotta talk about that.
Yes.
Debbie wants to cook turkey. Okay, let's keep moving through this, so,
Anything on 25?
no.
26 is your food service, and on to 27, and you can see that as of this budget, there was a decrease of 0.34%. Obviously, we've got some other adjustments to make.
We went up and down, it's probably close to the wash. Well, no, because that position was already in the budget, so we're actually gonna decrease more.
Yeah.
Thank you. That gets easier each time, let's go.
So with the adjustments that you made tonight, the bottom line budget will be $10,661,892.
What's the percentage?
10,661,892.
What's gonna be the percentage? Will we be a level budget? Or we've gone down
No,
rather?
it's
it's
still
going down even
negative.
more.
Okay,
It's negative 0.4.
Yeah.
0.4.
Really, we only carved out $9,000?
Well, we subtracted almost $1,800 from, the changes I got from Mr. Roning. We subtracted $8,500.
Staff development
Yeah.
and
Staff
the,
Thank you,
and the
yeah.
classes, yep.
And then we increased $2,500 for salaries and $191 for FICA.
We're not total,
Okay, that's what I was figuring.
10 million.
Okay, no, good, so we're at, we're still.
10,661,892.
Okay.
0.40.
So it's now .4.
Correct.
It goes from .3, okay.
And then again, it will change again,
Yep,
especially with
So
the
that-
rubbish
Just moving
removal
on to
and.
this.
Okay.
we have work to do.
Were we going to talk about that other piece that was in the packet about the music? We were talking about that? That was,
Yeah. Yeah, so I
Oh, the
included.
staff recommendation?
Right. I included, because there was initially a question around schedules.
So we asked you to look at it, yeah.
Yeah, and so I included, just for reference, both the current band schedule as well as the general music schedule as well. And I think to demonstrate, well, I was initially asked about instructional time, this was a few board meetings ago, and after following up and getting a clearer picture around what band instruction looked like, I think the schedule that's here actually reflects more accurately what that position currently looks like. So in the, on the cover sheet, I give my reasons for recommending that we continue with the two full-time teaching positions, one for general music, the other for band. And give several reasons, but just to summarize those, essentially what you have is what amounts to, two full teaching modes for both positions. The band position, as you can see reflected, in which I can have verified, there's a lot of small group lessons that the current band instructor does throughout the day with usually 3 to 5 students, grades 4 through 8, and that's very intentional. They're 20-minute segments. There was a time years ago, I think, when they were trying to do 45-minute teaching blocks, and especially for our younger students, just developmentally to work with an instrument over that length of time, it wasn't very productive time. So we have really small group instruction is what it amounts to for 20 minutes each across the grade levels that really provide sort of focused opportunity for the band instructor to teach different sections of the music and then bring those students into the full band, having been prepared and ready to do more productively the full band sessions of each piece that they're rehearsing. And then I mentioned a few other pieces. Co-Brown has remarked more than once, at least their music teachers, about how well prepared the Stratford kiddos are for their band program. And typically, it's been the case historically over the number of years that Stratford students make up the majority of the group that is at the Co-Brown program for their band sessions. and so I would be concerned about curtailing that because I do think it would probably have an adverse impact on that piece. Our data team structure is somewhat reliant on the coverage that our enrichment or specials teachers provide. And so I think it probably is not completely unfixable if we went to one position, but I don't see a good way to create the coverage that we need for our grade level data teams who are needing to talk about interventions, student achievement information. Recently, really, they've been focusing on the curriculum alignment work and tracking the focus standards that I've talked about a couple of times. So I find that those meetings are really valuable for what we're doing in terms of curriculum instruction, and I think that would create a potential conflict there without that coverage. And I mentioned Stratford Community here has really historically embraced the music program especially. I think actually at its outset, the current configuration of the two full-time positions reflects what Stratford's community has said or has indicated, you know, is very valuable. And then ultimately, if we did reduce the staffing for the music department, it would considerably alter, it just would have to by necessity, what we're doing instructionally in terms of curriculum. I did talk with Nottingham a little bit about their program, and if we were going to do something like what they've done, again, it would have a significant impact on the instructional time and curriculum that we currently offer. We really, there's not a way to sort of, it would mean that we really have to pare back and tailor back what we're currently doing. So I don't think that ultimately is going to be in the best service for kids. I think they've been actually trying to add some band time specifically because I think it's been happening after school primarily for them in previous years, and they're trying to use some intervention time for that now to get the band experience that they need. So
thanks for digging into it.
I have questions. Okay, one, I think that, first of all, your key, there's no key to this, so I'm very confused if this is band or music, it's all over the place. So.
This is general music here.
Okay, so
And
this
it
one.
does read, you have to
Which
go.
one's general music? The one that's the favorite
This one
color?
right here, this general music. Yeah.
This is general music?
Right, yep.
It's the one with the blue
It's
and
the
the.
color, all
pink
the
and
colors.
green. The one looks like this.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. That one. Yeah.
This is general music?
Right.
Okay, so then band's here?
No, band is this one.
Band
It's
is.
a big spreadsheet.
Right. This is
Oh,
11 and a
okay.
half by
I
14.
thought we were
No,
looking
this
at
is,
the,
this is
okay.
one, general music, and this
Okay.
is band.
I have a question. I wonder, I mean, I know that our music curriculum is great, and I think that we shouldn't, you know, with the one teacher is fine. But I'm wondering if band, if we have the full-time music teacher keeping her schedule, or his schedule, whoever is the full-time music teacher next year, but we don't know who's gonna be it next year, so it's a one-year position.
Yep.
So the band schedule, what if we had a band teacher who worked 50% time? Because I know that there is a lot of downtime with band. So what if we had the you know, we didn't touch our music program as far as, you know, the regular curriculum, but the band instruction, could we, I'm gonna ask you to take a look at this, and I see all your, you know, we wanna support the arts and support music, but I see a lot of downtime. Is there a way to also look at a halftime band instruction and full-time music instruction? That's just, could you look at that? Could you
The
look at
music
that?
teacher is a band teacher also that we currently have, the one we just hired.
She has
Premium.
premium background.
She,
yeah.
yes, so, like Debbie says.
Remember, we
Wait,
talk
mm,
positions,
Okay.
not people.
All right.
And just, at least when I look at this, the band schedule, I don't see a lot of downtime per se. I see a lot of, like I said, small group lessons, but each of these, just for reference, on the band schedule, are different sets of kids.
Well, if you could, I don't know.
So
On the general music schedule,
Yes.
it's my understanding not the whole class in these grade levels go to music, correct?
You talking about this schedule here?
Yeah, right now I am.
Right, yeah.
Right,
these-
it's not the whole class that goes, it's only the ones that wanna participate in
Yeah,
chorus,
these-
correct?
Right, so, well,
Okay,
these
so
guys
that's
are
not a
doing-
whole class of students.
These are though, these, like the 850 block, for instance, is a whole set of students. It's probably about 16 or 17 kids that are in there.
It's the entire class.
Yeah, I think those are the teachers' names.
Yeah.
grade
Yeah.
levels.
So you have Sawyer, well, it's not Sawyer because she's not seventh grade, but, or maybe it is, anyway, in Trafton or NATO and, I'm not sure, again, I think that's actually.
Okay, now if you go to the band schedule,
It was Fernal from last year, but.
if you go to the band schedule for that same time,
Yeah,
you will see that the same classes are on there. So,
Yep.
again, they can't be in two places at the same time, it's not all the students that are there.
right, it's just that you have because you have combined homerooms, you're essentially teaching anywhere from 15 to 18 kiddos.
Not
Each.
band.
I thought it was if, depending upon if you did band, you went to the band teacher, if
Right,
not, you went to
which is-
general music class.
Yep, that's what's reflected here.
Okay, so,
And then at the end of the day, like on A day for band, you have a full band session with 7th and 8th grade. So that's where you have,
right,
I don't know how many kids are in there, 25.
I think it's something to look at.
What I'm saying is they're not whole classes of students that are going to these.
Right, they're not, yeah,
Okay.
but
We definitely seem to need more than one teacher for the program. So is it 1/2? Could you take a look at that? I see, we're hearing what you're saying.
yeah. I'm happy, again, my recommendation really is that we
Don't change anything.
don't change anything, but I'm happy to look at the implications of, it sounds like a halftime.
Right. To make sure that you still have
Instructor.
band instruction.
Okay. Thank you for looking at
Yeah.
that. I know
Do you agree with
this
that,
isn't a fun
Roxanne?
subject.
Do you agree with that?
Uh,
Do we need to go through for anything else?
where do we stand?
I don't think so,
How
soon
are
as
the
you-
bills?
They have to be signed.
Any questions for Marjorie?
Oh, yes, adequacy grant money. Hear
Yes.
anything yet?
No,
Okay. Do they have a
Um,
date?
I've not heard from them. I've been reaching out to the woman that, works there. I was supposed to go to a, conference last Tuesday, and they were gonna be giving us information on that.
Okay.
And basically it was gonna be coming up with like a calculation and trying to give people information. I was unable to go because of the power outage. It was a 2-day conference. One person from the office was gonna go on Monday for something else. I was gonna go on Tuesday. They actually didn't have power on Monday, so the person from the office that was supposed to go there actually drove all the way there before she got notification that it wasn't on. So she missed it, I missed it because I was concerned about payroll and getting everything up and running at the office.
Right.
So I'm in the middle of researching it. I've emailed her about a couple of other things. So I've been in touch with her, so once I hear back from her.
I think that they have to let us know during the month of November because this also helps with town.
I would think it would have to do with budgeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we
But
should
as
be
of
hearing
when we showed up
something.
today, we have not received
Okay.
anything.
Carol, do you want to roll forward with the policies? I'm scrambling signing here.
That's the policy EFAA, school lunch program meal charges. It's been categorized as a priority required by law. This is the second reading.
I didn't see anything jump out at me about it.
There was, I did, there was something, I thought we actually named the food service director.
I don't think we should.
I
only
don't either,
because-
yeah.
Well, that's what I was looking for,
Yes.
because it was in the last one, it's
Yes.
not in this one.
Well, I see it here, on page 60.
Yes,
And I think it should just say, please contact
the food service
director, and then
Correct.
give the school number,
right,
you know, if we.
his name shouldn't be there, that way we don't have to change the policy every
Right.
time the food director.
I
changes.
agree, and not even the phone number, just put at the
Right.
school,
We had that changed
because
last time.
who knows what that's gonna be.
So on page 60, contact the food service director.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
That's why we couldn't find it.
Anything else? Again, I mean, Dr. Ms. Begarians, do you see anything in here that jumps out at you as not gonna work with students, teachers, parents, food service?
Oh, I thought Scott, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just remember Scott Rudin was very concerned at the last meeting about some of the things in here, about giving kids a separate lunch, so that it would indicate that they haven't paid their bill, and then there would be, you know, everyone would know, and that we need to really look at that and think of how kids would feel, and does that make,
That's right, it's under alternative meals.
yes,
Page 61.
I think we need to,
So,
It's optional.
Remember, it's optional, and it's
Okay.
also, so you can see that they hide it. It's one of the meal choices available to all students, but which
Okay.
has the lowest cost. So it's not that old, here's your peanut butter sandwich thing.
Okay.
It is, you can pick one of these, but it has to be the lowest cost. So it's still something that every student has the opportunity to apply.
See,
I guess I don't agree with that.
But I don't know how you can change it.
Well, I just don't think it should be the lowest cost, I think, you're not gonna let a kid be hungry. Well, I don't, what if the lowest cost is like something yucky, that they don't wanna eat?
What's wrong with peanut butter?
I don't know, I just don't,
So if you look at, I mean, if you look at the legal language, but it still is optional.
okay.
I mean, we can still leave that to the, we can have it sitting here, and it's optional at the discretion of the administration. And I'm very happy to hand this over to Ms. Begarian and Dr. Young and say,
Yeah, I
run your school.
don't think any kid should ever go hungry, and they shouldn't be forced to eat the lowest cost item on the menu. They should be able to eat whatever they want. They shouldn't be hungry.
Okay. No, I think we give some guidance here that is on paper, and then right away it says it's optional, which I think puts the discretion back to school administration. And as long as all of the cafeteria monitors and the director all understand that, I think that's fine. There's no perfect
Right.
answer.
No, it's not.
So that's why I like leaving it in the hands of
We do have that person who pays the unpaid lunch at the end of the year.
Okay, that has nothing to do with this per policy. And it's already 20 days. So, any other comments? I mean, would people ready to accept that with just a change we made? But,
No, it says, if a student's meal account has a negative balance of $30 or more, the student will be allowed to charge only an alternative meal.
so look above.
Oh, can we just get rid of the optional?
Well, it provides very broad guidance. So, what if like in 6 months we decide we want to turn it on? Now our policy says we don't have it there. So this to me didn't nail it down to any specific thing. It gives a lot of options for the school administration to take care of, like you said, to ensure we don't have any hungry kids.
Remember, that doesn't mean the kids go hungry. We're looking at a negative balance of $30 or more. That's what this policy is set up for.
Yeah, it's, but this, we don't wanna follow this, if they can only have the alternative meal. I mean, why do they have to, I just, yeah, it's in the.
This is the kind of thing I like the school administration to talk to parents about. Board has a policy, gives them a lot of leeway. It lets them,
It's optional only if the district chooses to
choose an
provide,
alternative. So if we're not
chooses
choosing
to
to do
provide
that,
only
this
an
is irrelevant.
alternative meal.
Correct.
right,
We don't
like I
have
said,
to
it's
choose.
an open door,
So why don't we get that
And up-
paragraph, why don't we just get,
because the way it is right now,
okay,
everything is over the side of the table.
all right.
If they, at some point, if we're finding a big problem and they decide to have an alternative meal, now we work that. If they decide not to, they still work it.
So Scott, what happens now?
We don't have, I mean, I don't think we have, strictly speaking, an alternative meal that I can check into that. From what I've seen, students having a array of things.
And if we
We're
have
not forced to
if-
only choose
Right.
one thing.
If we have somebody getting negative, my assumption is that somehow the parents are contacted saying,
Well, yeah.
you have a negative account.
Right, yeah, there's a
That's
system
reasonable.
for that. I'm just saying is the way this, we don't have a designated alternative meal, at least to my knowledge. But
Perfect.
we do not.
We don't want one according to this
Yeah.
policy. If we don't have one, that whole have a page goes away.
Right, so I don't see a reason to have one.
But leaving it there allows options in the future.
Sure.
Okay.
Agreed?
Are we sure about that?
I can ask.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you wanna, I know we don't wanna put this out,
Put
but
in there.
I think we,
Have you? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
we do not have, no.
we don't, oh, you asked,
No.
okay.
Yeah,
All right.
that's the only reason I keep saying, yes,
Okay.
I've spoken to Eric.
Okay, thank you.
No, that's okay.
All right, all right, then we'll start.
So I can make a motion to
A
accept.
motion to accept policy EFAA, school lunch program meal charges.
Second, with the changes, right, Carol?
Yeah, with just
Yes, with
the
the change
change of the
on
name to the position.
to the, correct.
Second,
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, that passes.
Wasn't this just?
this is the one we had the public hearing on.
And
Yeah,
so-
this is
yep.
the one you did a public hearing on, and
You're
you
gonna-
can do it tonight if you'd like to, because it was posted for 2 weeks'
weeks,
notice
right.
already, so. If you'd like to do it tonight, you certainly can.
So,
Scott, do you see anything with this one that goes against what we're doing already?
Ms. Bulgarian is our truant officer.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
I'm good with it being Scott.
Pass the buck.
I don't.
So what we, if you really dive into it, so the previous one was board written, had a lot of restrictions. Again,
Right, yep,
what the state is trying to do, as these come past me, looks like it's trying to get rid of homegrown restrictions, really put it in the eyes of what the state thinks, but also dumps a whole bunch of responsibility on the administration to manage.
yep.
So they set some guidelines, but it still stays up to you two to say, yes, this is the way we think we should do it at our school. You know the parents, you know the kids, and it's just a guide. Whereas before, we've talked before, that said, you had to do it this way whether you liked it or not. The new policy says, well, okay, you have some options to manage. I personally like it that way.
Mhm.
So prior to adopting, we will place the item on the agenda for public board meeting and allow 2 weeks for public input, which we did. I didn't really get any public input. Final adoption will remain solely with the board. Superintendent shall ensure this policy is included in or reference to the student handbook and is mailed to parents annually at the beginning of each year. So I think we have complied with all of that.
okay, so I will make a motion to adopt policy JH, attendance, absenteeism, and truancy. And that policy is also a category P by the state, which is a priority required by law. And we did do our public hearing, and proper notice was given.
Yeah, I'll second that motion, that was very long.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Thank you, that passes 4-0.
So we're just about done with policies.
Policies.
We have to bring the, oh, no, we don't just do that, yeah.
So for correspondence, we're down to F.
I mean,
As we
for a
talked,
while.
as you talked about before, correspondence, so I went and talked to the selectmen last night, only because they're setting their budget, and I talked about ours. Also talked about the town meeting. It seems like we have an agreement that we'll do a combined meeting. Ellen White is doing one final check, stating that, yes, it's legal to hold both the same day. We'll have to do that normal posting, so that two cannot run concurrently. We cannot start a meeting, at a start time. We both discussed about, both of us wanting to go first at the same time, which I think is why they want to come talk to us, which is fine. But the big picture is, we have it nailed down that we will have a combined meeting on Saturday, March 17th. So wear your Irish green.
But that was contingent upon them
Really,
allowing us.
We tried to put that in there, and we said no.
I said it was.
Carol doesn't care.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
But I do think this one should go
Yeah.
first.
So, and I explained that, I said, hey, we have
Because
folks,
it's a big-
there's two selectmen that are very concerned that they aren't gonna get any cash if everybody knows that big budget's coming after. We can talk about this when they come, because I was trying to promote the fact that everybody's gonna know what the entire package is gonna cost,
That's right.
whether we go first or second. One
Right.
selectman actually thinks we should go first, because then people will leave after they're tired of ours and won't be on this. So,
That's right.
I mean, so there was a lot of, there was a lot of that discussion, but anyway, they would like, the select would like to come to a meeting. So I told them that I would, they were very happy, they said, no, it's nice to see you here, so, I mean, I was a party of one. And, well, I mean, it was a party of one in the building. It was me and two of the selectmen and then the admin. So I know, I said, they were like, hey, we'll just stop by tomorrow night. I said, we got kind of a busy thing, let me put you on an agenda and you can come and have everybody ready, because one of them wasn't there. So anybody else have any correspondence? Talking? No?
On my part, what I'm looking on, guys, could I maybe put together a little something and could we have like a strategy meeting or, that would maybe, I don't know if it would be non-public or not, but.
It would, you mean talking about the high school stuff we talked about earlier?
Well, yeah, but I mean,
So I know
there's
you're.
more wording that I would
Yeah,
like to kind of go
no, so
over.
your correspondence, remember, so you can grab somebody else, as long as you stay 2 and under, you could grab anybody outside the board, if you want public input, if you want parental input, if you want anything, we can do that. As soon as you get 3 people, it's a public meeting, we need 48 hours posting, and
Oh, yeah,
it becomes tougher to do, but so again, remember, when we started with the CBA discussion at the time, Deb and I did like a town meeting type thing, where we just invited people to come sit here, and we just talked to them and thought ideas, as long as it's 2 of you. And none of us, nobody else from the board can be there, be any part of it, so we could sit back in the audience, but we couldn't talk, we couldn't answer questions, couldn't do anything, so it gets weird. So if you get to that point, let me know, and I'll tell you how the right way to do it, so we keep everything legal and all that.
Yeah, we need 24 hours to post.
Yeah.
So if you think you're gonna get more than 2, just let us know, we'll post a meeting.
So that's that. I'll get something in the calendar based on what I found out through the fact finding, which I'll brief the board on in a little bit. So let's jump to well, so we have some, I guess we have some other things. So we have the announcement of the open board position.
Did that go out already?
No.
I thought it was supposed to go out today.
Well, so I talked to Bob yesterday and stopped it because we had posted a cutoff date that we gotta figure out if we're even gonna have a meeting then.
Oh, okay.
So I said, the board tonight will make the formal announcement that Ms. Lord is gonna be leaving at the end of the year, moving away to the far reaches of Barnstead. So she has to give up her seat because she's no longer gonna be a town resident. So we will put out an announcement of opening a position, which will, and that is it will be an appointed position, but it will still have to come up for the vote in March. So it's only it's the temporary position until March.
That would be a 1-year seat.
Well,
At that point?
well, so, yes, so then
March.
come March,
Yes.
there's gonna be 3 positions open, 2 3-year and 1 1-year. That will be the finalization of the current term she's sitting in,
Right,
to maintain the cycle.
right.
And I'll have to
Staggered.
talk to Chris Bain, the district secretary, about the fact that if people put their names in, I believe they have to put it in for the specific position.
By January.
As I know, I think Nottingham has a 1-year revolving thing, and they actually, so people put in for either the 1-year or the 3-year.
Yeah, so I talked to Nancy today about posting, if we were gonna post tomorrow, we're running it from the 9th, opening it at the 9th tomorrow, and running it through the 20th. And then you can decide what you wanna do with the meeting
Yeah,
at that
because,
point.
I honestly think we need to have a meeting to kind of close this out. I know it's butting up against Thanksgiving. I don't know if people want to do it Monday or Tuesday instead, stay away from Wednesday.
I have a suggestion. Why don't we do it before the joint board meeting on the 27th? Just do a short meeting, like at 5:30. Nottingham and Northwood do that all the time.
Pretty short, look at budget stuff and,
Well, why do we have to, I mean, we still have more time for the budget.
I mean, would be appointing a board position. I would like to get the board position early. I know the person can't be paid and all that, but the person could actually be sitting in here,
Right.
listening to all this, so that when she steps out and that person steps in, it's not 0 to 60. It's okay, they've been marching
Right.
along because she's not gonna have a vote on the budget,
Right.
the new person is. She's
As
not
far-
gonna know.
Sorry, as far as your budget goes, if you're meeting on the 20th, you're not gonna have the preschool number yet. You're not gonna have the SAU number yet. And we will hopefully have bids back on transportation by then, but, I mean, you're an annual meeting, so if you wanted to just meet on December 13th, which would be your next meeting, as far as your budget goes, I don't think that would
Six.
That's
hurt.
wrong, that's wrong.
I think it is
Yeah,
wrong.
it's the
Yeah,
13th.
6:13.
Yeah, and, you know, and we're waiting, we need to find out about the adequacy money. There's,
Oh, I know.
that, we can't vote on the budget until,
No,
and I think
we
we
won't vote on the budget
really have
till
gone
January.
through a lot of things in the budget already. We spent a lot of time last year, at our last meeting, we just, again, went through things. I mean, basically, we just have to get the new numbers and then decide about the increase for non-CBA employees. I see those as the only things that we have to do, right?
Yeah, if you wanted to appoint somebody to the school board effective, what did you say, Carol, that
January 1st, basically.
January 1st, if you wanted to do that before the joint board meeting, then you could appoint somebody effective January 1st, so for your reasoning, Brian, they would still be able to
Attend.
at least
Yes.
attend the December 13th, knowing that they're gonna be responsible for that budget.
That's a good idea.
The only thing is we probably won't have Bruce there because it's tough for him to make Monday meetings.
That's true.
I won't be here on December 13th.
Well, why don't we just do it before the joint board meeting, on the
So
22nd?
we just talked about this, Bruce won't be here. I mean, we'll have a board.
Right,
I guess we can solicit his input. But unless he breaks away from, I know he has those normal Monday meetings. I mean, I was trying to get all 5
right,
participants.
okay.
And I will be away for that week in December.
I'm not gonna be here November 22nd.
No, so, I mean, can we put together a quick meeting on the 20th or 21st?
I can't do it the 21st, 20th, I
Is
can't, I'm
Bruce
not gonna be
available on
available.
the 20th? That's a Monday night.
Yeah, that's this,
I can't do it.
I don't know if
the
his issues are every Monday night.
20th. I have to check my calendar. I don't understand, okay, Bruce. Maybe Bruce can that one time come.
Well, I mean, a quorum is a quorum. I mean, either that or we don't go until the December 27th meeting. And then the problem is anybody who is put in, again, I'd like to have people participating and know that they're actually, if we get anybody to apply. We could do the 27th and explain to Bruce that that's the date we had to do the appointment. And if he can make it, great. He can, what was that rule about? Can he dial in?
I was just saying that we get Skype meetings now or something. Didn't we have
But
a
I don't remember if
policy
you-
about that?
But I don't
now?
remember if you can, I think you can vote as long as you have a quorum. That was that policy that we had.
Yeah, we just approved that, right?
Okay, so let's set it for the 27th. What time can people make it?
It just has to be a short meeting,
Well, yeah, we need that.
5:30?
No, we need
5 o'clock?
5, yeah, we need at least 5.
So instead of the 22nd, it'll be the 27th at 5 at the SAU.
Yes, that'll be at the SAU. Because we'll have to tell anybody that put their name in to come over there. So we're gonna, is that okay with the, I guess I should have asked, is that okay with the SAU?
Yeah.
Well, you have to do it now before not even book the conference room.
So our next meeting,
Go around this time.
yeah, I mean, we have next week, but that's too soon.
Right.
We want to at least announce the job for 2 weeks. So our next meeting will be at 5 PM on November 27th, prior to the joint board.
And the November 22 meeting?
Cancel?
Yeah, thanks.
I'm canceling that.
Okay.
I know that devastates you folks.
I was looking forward to that.
We still have the joint board on the 15th. And then on the calendar, that shows December 6th, remember it's the 13th. we could talk about that on the 27th. Okay, that's one item I had. Second item I had, does the board wish to present the SEA with a retirement incentive letter like we did last year again? I would like to. I mean, if they turn us down, they turn us down, but I think it still benefits us to see if we may have some of those folks that are on the fence about hanging around if we present an incentive.
They haven't presented to their,
We presented the
Membership.
SEA, they have to present it to their membership, which they did not do last time.
correct.
But I think it would, I mean, it benefits everybody. If there's some folks that are thinking about leaving, if they get a good deal out of it, for the town, you know, it helps us out because in theory, a high-time teacher retires and a lower-time teacher comes in and we save money that way. And we will do the same stipulations. I mean, I pretty much copied a letter from last year saying, hey, you have to let us know by this date. I'm not sure, I guess I'll look on your side. Two, would it be, what would be tough turnover in the school? If we said, hey, I think there's 10 of them that are in the bucket. I think that's what we figured out last year.
I think so.
There's 11 one year, so there's 10 people that could potentially do it. Again, this is just an offer to them, this is nothing mandatory.
Right.
But if we said, hey, you know, the first two that let us know you said do it, would that be, that would be unreasonable to bring 2 new teachers in next year if somebody bid off on this?
In a nutshell, what was
It was,
Yeah, Harry didn't.
oh, that's right, okay, so the offer on the table was a 20% of their salary, well, their salary spread over 5 years. So they got 20% of their salary, just salary only, spread over 5 years. So I mean, you take a $65,000 teacher and they get 20% of that for 5 years. Right now, yeah, so but basically $13,000. Right now, they get $3,000. And this is it's what it's called is a sidebar agreement. When we tried to present it last year, we gave it to them. Again, if you weren't chasing us, we had some frustrations because as the board chairman, I presented it to the SEA co-presidents. They responded to the superintendent that they had concerns and they never passed it forward. They never got back to the board, they never came back to me. We just found out, and then through the negotiation side, they felt that it was a condition of employment and should be negotiated in the contract. At the time, Norm and I, we tried to explain to them that if they wanted to put it in the contract, that's fine, that begins next July. This offer we're giving is for this year, that it ends in June. So 2 separate worlds. If they want to talk about that in negotiation, okay, but this is for this year because, and we explained the whole thing why. As far as I know, they turned it down. We are not able to present it directly to employees because it's a condition of work and the CBA and the union doesn't allow that. So it died. The big picture is Mary Ellen Plant lost out on her salary, 20% of her salary over 5 years. Because it would have come, she would have.
She only took the 3.
She took the 3, well, yes, she would have, no, she didn't get that because she announced after the cutoff date.
Sudden, right? Wasn't that sudden?
So, again, it was really a win-win for both parties. The party that decides to leave gets a nice incentive, and for the district, I mean, we lose a high-time teacher, but we save money by bringing in a new, underneath. It's also healthy. We've had an issue, as you know, that a lot of our staff is at the top of the pay scale. At some point, if 8 of them decide to go, I mean, the administration's stuck with, wow, that's a huge turnover. I mean, a healthy turnover is 2 or 3 a year, maybe. The senior teachers mentor new ones as they come in, and it's a nice cycle. So that's what we were trying to get to. Again, so that's the story of where it went. So I'll work with the superintendent again and put a letter together and let them know. And again, it's up to them to accept the turn down.
Are we still, are you, where are you going?
So another one I have is, if you remember a meeting or 2 ago, I asked Dr. Young to take a look at what the Henry Moore School sign cost out in front of Candia. So Co-Brown's is $67,000, so we don't need that. Well, remember, they have photographic quality on it. It's really nice. The one that the Moore School in Candia put in is $28,000. Yeah, but there are other options. It's interesting because the feedback we got from them, they actually don't even recommend the company that installed it for them. They're very happy with the product, but they would recommend going with a different company. They give us some good feedback, but again, I think it's more talking of just a great way to pass communication, and we would try to get, buddied up with the town.
Could be a warrant article, maybe
Yeah.
split it with the town, because
Well-
they could put messages on it as well.
We talked about that split, in the big picture,
It's on the school.
whether you have $100 and I have $100, or I just have 200, it's the same bucket.
Yeah, I know.
So, but yes, we talked a lot about, hey, what, it would obviously have some rules to it. It's for school or town. This isn't, Sally's birthday party is 10 o'clock. Would obviously have to put something together because it would be controlled from here. And there's some more research in, but $20,000 to $25,000 looks like is what would get us a great means of communication with people in the town. And I agree, it would probably be something to look into and bring it to the town and say, hey,
I
we want to
think
do
so.
this.
I think it'd be great.
So we'll keep chasing that.
That would be a capital improvement.
Something to
And then,
No?
I don't think it falls under that.
No?
I think there's such mixed feelings.
Well, Scott, Dr. Young, we were already talking earlier, he says, if you go out to that sign we have right there now, just putting a letter in is kind of like, are we gonna knock it over,
Right.
or is screws coming
And it's
undone?
also,
Just-
having like, almost like a neon sign, where we're in this little rural town.
Well, if you drive down 43 and go past Candia School,
Yeah.
it jumps, they do a really good job of promoting all kinds of different meetings, groups. They put their sports schedule up for the students, the town puts their meeting,
Is there a timer on that so that it goes off at a certain time, so it doesn't?
I'm sure there is.
bother the
I'm sure you,
I'm
no,
just-
you're right, light blue, I'm sure
Yes,
there
you're
is.
right.
Okay.
I'm sure the Terces would love it.
Yes.
I know.
So that's all stuff that you can easily have it go dark at a certain time and come
Yeah,
back on
okay.
at a prior time. And that would be something we bring forward if we went that route. So, they said that they have really fancy, if you haven't seen it, they have really fancy granite posts. They had, PTO put in some money, they got some local businesses to put some money in. As long as that was unsolicited, that'd be fine. I would hate to have somebody say, yeah, well, Uncle George's, I put money in there, so I want Uncle George's menu up on it now.
I'm
So-
assuming if we keep it the same size, we may not have to go to the zoning board, but I will ask that question.
Yeah,
You know who we should talk to? Is, AMI.
those guys.
Yeah, those guys, our industry, our
Right.
industry.
Oh, no,
No, I mean, they might have some
The more we dig, the more we
connections.
look at it. So anyway,
There's some
that's,
connections.
so I just want to state that Dr. Young and Gary did find that info out for me. Do you have something, brother?
Well, did we look into the whole issue with the dogs in the playground?
I haven't. I
We
haven't
still
heard any problems, and I
Yeah.
still don't know if there's any policy
Okay.
keeping them
I
off town
thought we were going
property.
to look to see with Primex what we would recommend, because if a child is bitten by a dog, playground, an afternoon school, basketball game, baseball game or soccer
We asked that
game.
question.
Would you ask Nancy to check with the School Boards Association to see if they have a sample policy?
I couldn't chase it down. I even talked to Carol Popovich, and she
I'll
remembered.
do that.
She remembered the inside,
Yeah,
and she thought once there was outside, but
Because
she
we had
doesn't know if it
talked
was ever.
about it.
We
and
did, we were going to
Years
get
ago,
signs.
there were supposed to be signs
Was
put
it
up.
Jerry? Was it Jerry's?
Oh, probably.
Yes.
So, we'll
That
ask
explains
insurance.
it.
We'll ask insurance.
That explains it.
Anything else, brother?
Um,
I do have something to come back to, so, but I
No,
want to
that's okay.
free people up.
Okay.
Everything, brother? Yeah, let me do public comments. Ms. Helm, nothing?
Nothing.
Mr. Russo?
Ironically enough, I went through and I did some of my own sign research and sent you folks earlier this afternoon an email from Signs Plus, and right around $15,000 for an actual sign with about a $5,000 install for something a little bit better quality than what Candia has from a signage standpoint, but the base is a lot more basic looking. So that's in your email. Please feel free to look at it. I also forwarded that off to Gary earlier this evening, as he was also going through and doing some of the research. I honestly didn't know that this was actively taking place. I was actually going to present it as an idea, so that's kind of ironic that that is taking place. And yes, I will be submitting my name, Brian, to go through and fill the seat of Miss Lord as she goes through and she moves on. And I'll do that formally as I did the last time.
So we will be opening that tomorrow, correct?
Tomorrow,
Okay.
posted tomorrow.
Anything else? Okay, I have a review of the fact finding I want to give. but all you people don't have to be here on Zoom.
It's a non-meeting?
You should probably go into a closed meeting, go into a non-meeting for
Well-
negotiation.
Yeah, it's a non-
Really?
Yes.
I thought it's, I
Well,
thought,
that's okay. Or you can go into non-public at C, that way if you wanna vote on anything coming out, you can do
I mean, we have to, well, I guess we don't even have to vote on it right now, it's just gonna present the information provided, but I thought after 10 days, it's public.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Have a good night. Thanks,
Do we
Amelia.
have to have a non-meeting?
it. I know, I think.
Gotta do it in a non-meeting?
No, no.
If you
We
think-
won't vote tonight, we'll do a non-meeting.
Yeah, I think it'd be better to do a non-meeting,
Okay.
that way you can have frank discussion, and then if you're gonna make it public after that, so we,
Let's do a non-meeting to start.
yeah.
We adjourn?
And then at the end,
Yes.
after you decide what you're gonna do, then at that point, you can make it public. Unless you wanted to go into non-public, do it under C, and then when you come out, you can make any announcements publicly. if you want.
Now, well, I mean, I'd like to have Mr. Patrick's input also, to vote it, because it's gonna, I'd like to have all 5 members vote on it for the warrant,
Oh,
so
we-
we don't have to do that now.
Oh,
And there's tons of information, so I was just really, so maybe it'll be a non, yeah, we should keep it a non-meeting.
Yeah, we
And I'll
can't
have to-
vote now
No,
because
no,
we
I don't
have
want
to read it.
And I want to, but I want to, I guess I'll have to find out from Peter Phillips
Whether it's public.
when it is actually public.
Right.
I thought it was upon the expiration of the 10 days of the committees, because I still don't know what the SEA, that was Monday. I still don't know what the SEA stated, but before I do anything wrong, we'll do that. So,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
So thank you, everyone.